Hello everyone, I'm Roseann Sarica Benedict and I'm here today on this chilly day to make a recipe that will be comforting and warm you up. We're going to make sausage and Parmesan Arancini. So pretty much what they are is rice balls or risotto balls that are fried and they're so delicious. And so I'm going to share that with you. So we're going to start off with a saute pan. Actually, I wonder if you can see that. Let's see. Oh yeah, there we go. You can see that better. So we're going to start off with the saute pan, turn the heat up fairly high, and I'm going to add a couple of tablespoons of olive oil. And I chopped up about 2 onions. And I'm going to saute those onions. Actually, I'm going to turn the heat down a little bit, but I'm going to saute those onions till they're nice and soft. And I'm going to take 2 links of sausages. I buy this package that's half sweet and half hot sausage because I like both. So, and you can buy sausage meat if you want that's already out of the casing. And I'm just going to take this sausage and squeeze it out of the casing, and that way we will have delicious flavors of both hot and sweet sausage in there. And we are going to let that just cook for about, I don't know, maybe 10-15 minutes in this little saute pan. And then we're going to come and add the risotto rice, which is actually called arborio rice. So this is the brand that I usually buy when I'm doing risotto. And that's what you use for these arancini balls. So let me saute this and I'll get back to you once it's sauteed. Okay, so as you can see, I have my sausage and my onions nicely browned, and the onions are really softened nicely. And so to this, now we're going to add our risotto. And it is 3/4 of a cup of risotto. And we just add this and toss these around in this just for a little bit to sort of make the little kernels. I'm going to show you this. See these kernels of rice? They're going to become translucent when they're ready to get some liquids poured into them. So we're just waiting a second or two, a minute or two for these to become clear. Okay, so my rice is in the saute pan, and it's mostly translucent for the most part. So what we're going to do is add, I think I have 16 ounces of chicken broth, and I just warmed it a little bit. And you add just a little bit at a time, give it a stir, and you're gonna add it over, I don't know, 15-20 minutes time, and you just let those rice kernels get plump. And you can't dump it all in at once because then you get mushy, mushy rice. You just want it a big scoop like this at one time until you see it all get incorporated in the rice, and then you add more. So I'm going to add one more, and then I'm going to come back to you. And you should stir it constantly because you want to make sure that they all get absorbed evenly. And I'm going to actually lower the heat a little bit. Yep, that's good. So I will come back. I'm going to repeat this process till all the chicken broth is gone and the rice kernels are plumped up, and then I'll show you the next step. So I'm excited. Okay, so our risotto is coming along very nicely. Look how nice and plump those kernels are. And most of the liquid is gone. I do have just a tad bit more in my pot that I could add, but I need to add wine because you always add wine. You either drink it or you add it to your food. And I am going to add about, I don't know, tell me when. Tell me when I should stop. I think that's good. And the aroma is just really wonderful. So I'm going to add that and let that cook off the risotto. And then we have one more step before we put it in the pan to cool before we make our rice balls. Okay, so I'm a terrible videographer. I just tried to video the next step and I accidentally didn't press the start button, or I'm not sure what I did. So you're gonna miss the step, but basically what I did was I took my finished rice and I added some scallions, just, you know, a handful of them. You can do chives, scallions, whatever it is you like, just for some extra tasty tidbits. And then I took Parmesan cheese, and I use this, I think it's backwards. Oh, I do that to you all the time, I'm sorry. But it's a mix of Asiago, Fontina, Parmesan, and Provolone. And I put half of this container in there because you can never have enough cheese. And I mixed it all up, and it became this delectable mush. And I have behind me a jelly roll pan, and I just lined it with some parchment paper. And I'm going to take this and just spread this risotto on the parchment paper. And then I'm going to make it be a nice thin layer. And I'm going to put it in the refrigerator. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I want my rice balls to not be hot, so that I can roll them in breadcrumbs or panko, which is what I'm going to use, finely ground panko. So I'm going to have this nice thin layer in my parchment pan, and I'm going to put it in the refrigerator for, I don't know, a couple hours until I'm ready to get back to it. You could do it and leave it overnight and then do it the next day if that's what you want it to do. But in this particular case, I want to eat these tonight, so I will put it in the fridge, and I'll show you the next step later. I can't wait, I'm so excited. Okay, so I have my risotto that's all cooled now in the refrigerator, and that will make it easier to make the little rice balls. And what I'm going to do is just get this scooper and put a nice scoop of the rice balls there. I'm going to roll them into a ball, and then we dip them into the flour, then we dip them into the egg, and then we dip them into the breadcrumbs. And for the breadcrumbs, I'm using panko, and what I did to the panko is I put it in the food processor to make it ground panko. That way the coating on the rice balls is nice and fine, and with that they're going to be absolutely delicious. So I'm going to just blow through this and not bore you to death, and I'll come back as I'm doing the flouring and egging in breadcrumbs. Okay, so now I have all my risotto balls made, and now I'm going to roll those into flour, and it's very simple, just like that. And again, I'll do this really quickly, and then I'll go to the egg. Okay, so I have all my rice balls rolled in flour. Now we're going to put them in egg, and then we'll put them in the panko. So. Okay, so here are my arancini balls, all rolled up, floured, and breadcrumbed. And now I'm going to bring them over to the stove and fry them up. Okay, so I am back with the arancini balls all balled up. I have my oil on the stove, and it's ready to go. And I'm just going to put a couple of these in at a time. And just wait till they're nice and brown. You can hear them sizzling. How many did I get out of that? I got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15 out of that small batch that I made. Obviously, you can do more if you have company. And you know, there's plenty of people who bake these instead of fry them. But you know, that to me is sort of like meatballs. Don't you want your meatballs always fried? That's how I was raised, and yes, that's why I'm a little bit overweight. But you know, if you're gonna eat something, I sort of feel like eat it the way you like it and what reminds you of the traditions of home. And then the rest of the week have your salads and your lean chicken and all that kind of stuff. But there's no reason to not have something that reminds you of your grandmother, your great aunts, or times with your cousins. So, okay, so these cooked up really quickly. As you know, the rice was already cooked, so it's just a matter of frying the outside. We're going to do this with the rest of the batch, and then I'll show you how I plate them up and serve them. So I turned the heat down a little bit from the first batch so that they didn't quite brown so quickly, and you can see that they're a little bit slower in browning, but I don't think it matters either way. But I am going to turn it up just a hair because they should cook really quickly. The preparation of these takes quite a bit of time, but the actual cooking of them takes no time. And of course, if you bake them, then you just pop them in the oven and forget about them also. But I think that you're gonna love these. Okay, so these are all done. I'm gonna take them out, shut off the heat. Oh, they smell so good. They look so delicious. So now I'm going to take you and them over to the counter and we'll plate them up. Okay, so I have my arancini here, and I am going to plate them up, but I wanted to show you, a lot of times we use just a nice little marinara sauce to dip them in. So I have that here. I have to tell you, this is jarred, but if I had some left over from some sauce or gravy that I made over the weekend, certainly that's what I would use. I think if you find your favorite jarred sauce and doctor it up with your own basil or that kind of thing, it tastes really good. And then I'm also going to make a little sort of pesto-y kind of thing. So a little bit of mayonnaise, a little bit of this, I don't know if you've ever seen this, it's, oops, sorry, it's this in the produce section, but it's basil. And just put a couple little squirts of that in there. And then I have this stuff called Tuscan seasoning that has some great herbs in it, garlic and oregano and more basil. And then I also have, oops, where's my knife? Okay. I also have a couple of leaves of basil that are from my basil plant that's still surviving from the summer. I brought it inside and it's still surviving. It's always so nice to have fresh basil. So I just made a little chiffonade and I'm putting that in there, and then you just mix that up. And this is a great little dipping sauce. You can add salt, you can add pepper, you can add, hot pepper if you like that. But I think, you have the rice balls, the arancini, and it has sausage in it, so it already has its own flavor. So you don't want to overpower it too much. But this is how I would serve it. If you were coming to my house for dinner, I'd get a pretty little white plate. I'd put 2 or 3 arancinis on here. I'd put a little dollop of my basil and a little losing my mind. Don't look behind me. It's such a mess behind me. And then a little scoop of the marinara sauce, and then I'd put a couple of little chives or scallions on top, and then I would sprinkle it with a little Parmesan cheese, and that, my friends, is how I would serve it to you. So doesn't that look delicious? So I'm going to try one because I know you want to know how they taste. I'm going to do this one that had the marinara sauce on it. Oh my God. So delicious. And not to play favorites, I'm also going to add a little bit of pesto here and try that one too. Which one's my favorite? I can't tell you. I can't tell you that my mother would yell at me because I was talking with my mouth full. But anyway, arancini, sausage and Parmesan arancini, delicious. I love it. If you want to come on over, you know where I am. Happy to make you a batch. And if you want to try it and you want the recipe, you know where to find me.